All right. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today. We are going to do some more training on ZSuite, and I'm going to share my screen, give you a rundown of the topics that we're going to cover. And then I'm definitely going to hold time at the end for Q&A. We can certainly cover if you have questions that on any of the content that I'm going to touch on, but then also if you have questions as a whole. So we've had a lot of positive response so far, and it was great to see those of you that were at Pittsburgh last week. But let me go and share my screen here, and we can kind of dive right into things here. Okay. So what we're going to cover today. Right here. Okay. So if you missed our first training, my name is Erica Jeffries. I do sales and marketing for ZSoft Technologies. That is the parent company of ZSuite, which is our enrollment platform, Zing Books, online record books, and our learning management system, the Clover Academy. I work with states, help onboard. I also help with the chat. So it's really important that we provide customer service, and we want you all to have a good user experience first and foremost, but also to let you know that there's no such thing as a bad question in our book. So I'm going to cover kind of where you can find help documentation, how to fire up a chat with us. We do live chat support Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then if it's after hours, or if you're doing work on the weekend, chat will turn into an email tool. So, y'all work very long hours, a wide variety of schedules, and especially things happen when you're inevitably doing a program. So there's no such thing, like I said, as a bad question in our book. So if you do have questions, please, work with us. We are here to help you and provide support on that. And I'll touch on that. We are going to go through payments and how to create fee adjustments. So there's a piece for that at the county level, which would apply for your enrollments, if applicable, and certainly there's the fee adjustment component when you're creating an event. So we'll cover some of that, as well as making sure that on your events you can accept online payments only. There are some different options again. We're going to cover the dashboard, just some of those general lay of the land elements. Right now is a very peak time for enrollments coming in, of course, and then just that touch point on reviewing event registrations, best practices, and some of those components. And we'll touch briefly on clubs, because clubs are kind of the gateway. And while we opened into a new 4-H year with clubs in there, there's a lot of just very, very basic information. So you're going to want to update your club chartering if you have that documentation. Add in the descriptors of where those clubs are meeting, who is the leader, and that contact information is very useful for your families moving forward. We'll touch on enrollments, and then you will notice, and if you've been logged in this morning, you're going to want to do a Control F5 for your county, but you should see an email tool under your Manage Accounts tool. That is an internal email system, and that allows y'all to target your email communication, whether you want to send out emails to perhaps just volunteers, or you can email older teens perhaps, or if there's a project you need to get a hold of, you can certainly do that as well. We'll touch on that. But the benefit of using MailJet, several universities have reported to us that their university is limiting the amount of emails that they can send. And when I say limiting, a total of 250 emails a day. So if you think about how many individuals are in your respective programs, it will not take you long to reach that mark. So this allows you to have branded, very attractive looking emails. You can include images, video. You can also tie into your social media channels if you do use social media. And then the nice part about the email tools allows you to schedule those emails. So we'll touch on all of that and end it with a touch point briefly on reports, kind of how to pull some general information, then open for Q&A. So without further ado, I'm going to hop in. I'm logged in as Arkansas County, just to kind of, this is same look and feel as what you all have. So on the dashboard, when you first log in, so all I've done is entered an email address, password. This is where you come. You're going to want to set an announcement. Maybe you do a 4-H open house, or if you know of clubs that are going to be starting meetings soon, encourage your volunteers that are club leaders to create announcements, get some content generated on that page. As far as shared files, everybody has that capacity. The thing to keep in mind with shared files is that this information goes top to bottom. So if Emma, as an example, was to share a file, it's not going to only aggregate to your dashboard, it'll also go further down to your household and to club members. So in our household, if you have club volunteers, they will have a profile. Your youth members will have a profile. So all of them in their own regard have a dashboard as well. So shared files is a very powerful tool, especially as program year gets going. There's opportunities such as clinics, judging events, you name it. That information is great to share as a shared file. As far as internal admin documentation, no, not so much. That will be something you will want to, if you have something you want to share direct with somebody, it's better to email that direct or to use perhaps a platform that you may have within your university to do those administrative share document type files. That being said, there is club documents. So if it's something related to the club, that is an internal share between county admin and your club volunteer. It does not go higher to the state level. But again, on sensitive information, share that directly. Don't put it on the shared file spot. But this is a great spot if you have a new family handbook as an example, or something to help your first year families get rolling. Best tips, practices, perhaps something that's relevant for helping those clubs getting started on a new year. Making sure they're allocating time for business, but also, okay, what is an educational component, or you name it. There's a wide variety of tools or ways that the shared file tool can be used. Your active club members populates, active volunteers populates on the dashboard. And then if you scroll down, you'll see here event approvals. So you can toggle on and off your state events. As program year goes, you're going to get a lot more traffic into that. So that may expand. And then it also ends up with viewing club member enrollments that are pending, as well as volunteer enrollments. One thing I want to draw your attention to is in this lower right-hand corner. You'll see chat. So at any point during the day, if you have a question, and again, there's no such thing as a bad question, you can fire up chat. And so just show chat, not the back. So chat, it'll ask for your email or your name, first name, last name, email, and then what is your question. And when you hit start chat, you're either going to you'll be visiting with myself or Jake Pakovic, who's one of our developers. We divide and conquer on the chat. And while we're talking about help to, and then if it's on the weekend, this will turn into email, but that's where and this screen, or I should say this tool will follow you as you're using the system. So you don't have to go back to the dashboard. You don't have to change kind of where you're at in terms of viewing the system. So as you're experiencing, perhaps you run into an issue with the report as an example, as you're working through that section of the system, you'll be able to capture, okay, whatever issue you're having, or perhaps capture whatever question you have. Just fire that off. We're happy to walk that through. And then with us being admins, we can hop into your account. We can kind of view where you're at, whether you're reviewing an enrollment, that type of thing. But that does help y'all, you know, in terms of helping to learn the system, navigate it. But we certainly want y'all to use it, log in, explore it. And, you know, things happen. Sometimes an event registration may get deleted, or if we have to recover content, we will do our best to do that. It does vary case by case on what we can recover, but we are here to help y'all. While I'm on the topic of help, there is a dedicated help library. So right before your log out piece on the left-hand menu, the help repository is here for you. So common thing, especially as we push up updates, when you go to the landing page, you may get a spin. And what I mean is you're just going to get the blue circle, nothing will load, nothing will appear. So what will happen is the first piece to help push you through on that is to do a Control F5 or Command Shift R if you're using a Mac. If that does not work, then you just need to clear your browser cache. So if you search clear browser cache, that will pull up a tip sheet. It'll walk you through, regardless of what browser you're using or device, mobile included, on how to clear that browser cache. An important thing to remember about this platform, we do not do backside support for Microsoft Edge. So for best results to use this system, you're definitely going to want to try Chrome. We also do support for Safari or Firefox if another platform is needed, but by far and away, Chrome is going to provide the best results in what we have in this platform. There's a wide variety of tools here as far as getting the lay of the land. Also have a tip sheet on setting up a mobile shortcut. We are not app driven, we are web-based. So kids can use, or volunteers can use, the platform on their mobile device, which is very handy during project meetings as an example, or, you know, if y'all move forward with record book with us, they can enter in information on the record book, it'll save to the cloud, and then when they get home, fire up laptop, desktop, information will be there, it'll be captured. So it makes it very fluid because 4-H is fluid. So it allows a lot more flexibility, you know, for information to be captured and it stays current. But there's tip sheets on the calendar, how to do the announcements. And especially with some of the things I'm going to touch on here in a little bit on setting up the email. So I have tip sheets dedicated to the email, step by step on creating the template, create your email list, and then sending out the email. Any questions before I dive into kind of walking through some of those things or payments? All right. All right. I'm going to hop into payment settings first. So from your left-hand menu, if you click on settings, you can add payment setting. If your county has a specific enrollment fee, you can designate that maximum member fee. Might get a little sticky with enrollments already coming through, but that option is there. There's also a section for fee adjustments. So fee adjustments can be set at the state level. That will apply across the board, or they can be designated county specific. And there are some counties or some states, I should say, that do create a fee adjustment for their county. So that does vary state by state, but those can be toggled on and off at the county level. So a common fee adjustment is perhaps a club scholarship. Maybe you have a program where a certain project can get a scholarship amount. So if it's a discount, make sure you include the minus sign to provide that discount. If it's a positive value, then that will result in a fee increase. You can put in a checkout line description. You're going to want to have your fee adjustments, unless you know for a fact that they're going to carry through for next year. You'll want to keep that delineated for this for each year, for 2023 to 2024. So you identify your start year and end year, and then you can make a note. And so your conditions is where you can apply, say, so let's just say we're going to do a $15, we're going to call this a horse scholarship. I'm not going to say this in this county, but we're going to say that there is a horse scholarship for the 4-H project kids. It's $15 for the 2002-3-24 4-H year. So the condition is we want this to be add condition. Apply to only a club member or volunteer. So we have identified that this is for 4-H members. So we're going to go target type, not new volunteers. We want it to go club member, and we're going to have a condition of apply to specific set of project types. And you have to scroll down a little bit there, but you'll see here, okay, animal science horse. And then apply to each project type individually, and go ahead and click save. Have to move it down to the selected. So, and then once you've saved that, it'll appear there. And then on the payment side, on the member invoice, that would apply. I'm going to delete this now so it doesn't muck up the waters here. Whatever reason now, I can't view standby. Get it out of there. I don't know why that wasn't showing up on the county side, but I don't want that to stay for y'all. So thank you for bearing with me on that. That's one of the caveats of demoing on something that's live because it can go. On the event side, so let me hop over. So when you create your event, if it's an event for registration, which is, and the way to tell that is you'll get the 5 components to show up. If it's not, you're only going to get the event element to have the general content, and then you'll have the email settings. But on your payment adjustments, if you're creating a payment adjustment for an event, it's very similar to that, what we just worked through. You set your negative amount, or if it's an increased charge, perhaps maybe if you can do a horse show as an example, since we're talking horses, but you could have a cattle fee, or you could set up an arena fee, or whatever amount you want to charge or credit. Put in your dollar amount, your item line description, when it applies. So for an event, it would be for this 4-H year, 2-3, 2-4, same with the end year. Put in your descriptor, and then you can add your conditions. And it's the same conditions that we just walked through. You can apply to a county, you can apply to a club, you can apply to a specific individual. You can also apply, as I demonstrated, to project types. You can specify if the value is for member or volunteer, and then you can also, like if you wanted to set an early bird fee adjustment, this is where you would do that. So you would perhaps take into account, okay, for this event, enrollment or the registration is open for a total perhaps 90 days, and to incentivize people to get everything in and to get registered early within the first 30 days, you could do an early bird discount. So then you could apply it for a specific date range. You just want to make sure that if it's falling within the time that the registration is open, make sure those dates align on that lead in, and then make sure your end date isn't when the registration closes, but to capture that window of time for that true early bird discount. So if you have questions on that, but it is very easy to do. And then all of those adjustments and will appear on your invoicing. We had also mentioned a touch point on making sure online payment only. So where you would see that, you have the ability to set an entry fee. And so once you enter in your entry fee, then you can check the box online payments only. Adversely, if you disable online payments, then that opens it up to cash being brought into the office and so forth. So any questions on the payment adjustments?
Just a quick question on that. I assume if you don't check either, then they could do online or in the
Yes.
office. Okay, thank you.
Yep. Okay. Let's see. We're gonna go touch in on email a little bit just because there's a couple of different steps. So let me hop over to where. All right. Goodness gracious. Okay. Email. So first part on the emails, we want to create a template. So if you go to MailJet, this will take a little bit. It's an external component to ZSuite. But once it loads, you have the option here for a couple different tools. You have campaigns, compare campaigns, and my templates. And so the templating component takes a little bit of time. But once this is set up, you can save it, you can use it at any juncture, you can modify it, and there's no limit on the amount of templates that you create. So once you go to your templates, you can simply create a new template. You can apply a one that you've done in the past. Two, and we go ahead and click use template. Okay. So what it's doing is it's pulling in all the different elements. So you have a lot of different layout options. You have different options as far as the type of content you want to pull in there. On the template itself, you can pull in a header. You can add in your logos for your university. You can add in any of your affirmative action statements. You can include pictures. You can also do video links. So there's a wide variety of different tools already set in here. And as I mentioned before, you can do your social sharing. The divider just provides a break in that, a visual break between your different sections of your email. Once you have the elements that you want in your template, you're going to want to click Save and Publish to the gallery, or you can save it as a draft if you need to come back. I'm going to save it as a draft. I already have a template that I'm going to use for, go back. So once you have your template created, the second part on your email component is to create a list. And so your lists are going to identify, okay, who it is you want to send your email to. And so click on email list, and we're going to do Clover County. So your filter, once you've entered in your title, you can add a filter type. So from the drop-down menu, you can say in club, is a club member or volunteer. And since I want to target to volunteer, we're going to go target member type. You know, we want to make sure we click volunteer. And I want to do this countywide. And then go ahead and think. 4-H, select current 4-H year if you want to that and click save. So once you click save, if you have data in your system, once you click sync, the system will run, go through all the enrollments. And so it pulled information, click OK. And once your syncing is done, it'll pull up. So I have a lot of pending for this 4-H year in my demo county, but once you've created your parameters, click save, then sync your emails, it'll pull your results. Once you've done that, then you can go back into your MailJet. And your third step would be to create your campaign, or that's the actual email itself. They're called campaigns. So I have a starred campaign. One thing to note on your campaigns, you're going to want to title your campaign with your county name first. I'd also make a reference to the 4-H year because they are shared across the board. We're working on with MailJet to try to narrow that window so you don't get buried, but you can search by campaign or subject. So with doing a lead in with your county name on the campaign will help you find your campaigns quicker. But once you have your campaign, and we can actually go to, you can simply click create a campaign. Okay, so it breaks down to you very visually what your steps are for setting up your campaign. You're going to title it. So that's your internal unique name. So lead in with your county name, 4-H year, what the campaign is about. The subject, that is what your recipients are going to use. And so in the help sheet, there are some words that trigger to spam filters. You're going to not want to do anything that sounds like an urgent plea or we need your help right now. There are more and more firewall settings and spam filters are flagging for some of those trigger words. So there is a tip sheet dedicated to that on how to frame your message. So typically, if it's coming from your county, you're going to want to frame it as such. Arkansas County 4-H newsletter or something to identify to your audience that this is official, coming from y'all, from your county 4-H program, or, Arkansas County 4-H beef leader meeting, or, something to tie into who you're sending this to. So you identify, you can add your sender, you edit your subject, you can design your email. So your campaign content, you design your email. When you click on that, this is where you can apply your template. So it takes you to your templates. We got sample template already. If it's a draft, it won't appear in that. So those do have to be published. Your template has been applied. And then once it's applied, go back to your campaign setup. It's got to catch up. So it applies your template. And so since we've created the template, that saves time. It saves time on the designing of your layout. You can add in your modifications in that previous window, but when you're ready to go and send it out, you can come back to campaign setup. we go to select recipients, this is where it's going to ask you for your list. So then it'll pull up your lists, and we went Clover County volunteers. I had 2. Go ahead and click save. So then once you have all your elements in place, subject, and you'll notice at the bottom, it wasn't giving me an option to or to send now because I have to. And you have 100 characters on what you want to call it. But now, okay, now I have the option to schedule it or send now. So the nice thing about the EmailJet tool or MailJet tool is you, like I said, you can schedule your emails. You can target your communication on who you want that to go to. And then once your emails have been sent, go back to MailJet. Go to campaigns. If you go to sent, you will get metrics. So you will get a breakdown of what has been sent, not sent. And let me check. I think there's actually a dedicated tab now. Once you have emails that go out, you should have a campaign metrics, and it will give you the breakdown of how your emails did. You'll get amount of sent, opened, and then the one to look for is if you have any bounce. So there's a couple different factors that can cause emails to bounce, and I do have a tip sheet on that as well. One thing, especially if you're sending emails to Yahoo accounts, if folks don't actually check their Yahoo account, there gets to be a point, if there's no activity in that account, it will auto bump emails from coming into that account. So you'll want to check your bounce list. That's a great way to, just circle the wagons with your families to make sure, okay, I've noticed I've been trying to send communication to y'all. Things are coming back. Is this email address still current? If not, it's very simple to update that. Or if sometimes there'll be a firewall issue and then they have to resolve that on their end with that email server. But for the most part, as long as you avoid the spam words, your communication should go through. But if somebody reports to you that they're not getting that correspondence, let us know. Just as if you notice a drop off in your correspondence on enrollment submissions or event registrations, last year we were working through an issue with some of that communication coming to you all from the system. And so that is a bona fide issue. And so we've had to work through that before, but that hasn't recurred. So, but it is definitely something to be aware of. Any questions on email? Okay. We're elbows deep in enrollment right now. So enrollment, your dashboard allows you to view your pending members, but managing your enrollments, inevitably, once you're kids are active, there'll be perhaps some late minute additions, want to update enrollment, add a club, add a project. If a member is already active, go to manage accounts enrollments. You can click on the member's name. That will take you directly to that child's enrollment, if you will. And then you can there's a breakdown here of personal information, waivers, clubs, the clubs
Erica,
tab. Oh,
we're
yeah.
sorry, we're still just seeing the dashboard. And
Oh.
if you're clicking around and moving, it's not following you there.
Okay. Okay, that better? All right, there we go. All right, sorry about that. Thank you. On your manage accounts, I went to member enrollment. You just click on their name, and then that will bring up the child's enrollment. Projects are nested under clubs, so you can quickly add a club, add a project. And then once you've made that adjustment to the enrollment, then you're going to want to make sure you click submit changes. And that's the save button to capture that enrollment change. On your volunteer side, you're just going to want to keep monitoring as information comes forward, whether it's on the background check, especially if there's a requirement piece, or how they've worked through on completing their training requirements. If you get information, okay, that this individual has completed X, Y, or Z, you can edit requirements. You can add in the background check date. You can also, if applicable for the enrollment, if you need to add in the mandated reporter training date, that's fine. If you do know if they are a shooting sports volunteer, capture that information. But as far as the requirements, which would be the mandated reporter training and the background check, if all the elements are there and they're ready to be moved to an approval status, then you can improve that enrollment. It's not giving me that option now since we still have elements pending there, or not completed, I should say. Oh. So, and then once everything's good, you can improve the enrollment. Let's see. I think. Oh, if you have not already done so, add in your newsletters. This aggregates down to your households, to your members. This is a great way. You may, depending on how your county is, if you have a bi-monthly newsletter, you may want to add in the last one and what your current newsletter is, but build in that library. There's no max on how many newsletters can be added in there, but you're certainly going to want to have something. It's a great way to internally advertise and share that newsletter and help gain some traction with that. And especially with a new year on board, club meeting starting, that type of thing, you're going to want to make sure you get that information out. As well as any events, if they're non-registration, and if for example, if you're doing a 4-H open house, or perhaps your weigh-in dates, add those events on the calendar. The more, add those events, and I should say those events do populate on your calendar. Any events that appear in your calendar as goldenrod or county, state events are red, your club events will show up as green. The more content that you can add into that, the better that will help your family stay connected with that pipeline of information. And I think I covered the bases. Was there anything else before we open up the floor for general questions?
No, I think we can just take any questions y'all have. If you have any questions about reports, or you want a more in-depth if you weren't able to make it to the last training, that is recorded, and Erica went into great detail on member enrollments and volunteer enrollments, so you can view that. But please feel free, if you have any questions, to drop them here, and we'd love to hear from you. Help you out.
Hi, I have a question.
Sure.
So normally we have our 4-Hers enroll at the beginning of every year. And so having them enroll now and then having them re-enroll in January seems kind of redundant. Is there a way, I know in our previous enrollment reg pack, they would have to I think the parents would have to refill out all the information every year, and it was like a lot of work for them. So is that something that's the same with the ZSuite, or are they able to kind of like transfer the same information from the previous year to the current year to, renew their enrollment? How does that re-enrolling work?
So you're already rolled over for the new year, and then we're not gonna stop you to relaunch in January. So your enrollment's open, and that's okay, even if programming may not be starting until January. So what that means is enrollment is open. They'll get enrolled. They're eligible. Once they're approved to active status, then they're eligible to engage in meetings, engage in any activities at the community level. And then what will happen, the first year in our platform is the most laborious year, if you will, as far as identifying the household, entering in their enrollment information. That enrollment content will carry forward to the new year. Then it becomes a matter of verifying household information, verifying personal information. They're always going to have to reconsent to their waivers. The waivers are specific to the 4-H year, and that's just a unilateral risk management piece. But that re-enrollment process will be a lot less impactful moving forward. So I hope that answers your question, Marley.
Yeah. So just to clarify, this enrollment right now that they're doing is for the 2024 year.
Yep. Yep.
Okay.
We
so
are
they
in the.
won't. Okay.
Y'all are in the. You are in the 2-3, 2-4, 4-H year. There's not going to be a start, stop, and a start. Okay. So you all are open. But great question. And just as a comparison thing, it's very common. A lot of states do get started in October, understanding though there is time that's lost for holidays, and that's quite normal in the grand scheme of things. A lot of states do go with that October timeframe for national events and just that continuity in ages moving forward through the 4-H year. The lion's share of 4-H activity really starts once you get into January, but right now is a great time for households to get started. It's a great time for getting content into the system, especially where you have the opportunity to add in the events, add in that information to the calendar. It gives you time to get information out. So once those households get in there and start using the system, they've got content to refer to. I did mention a quick thing on clubs. So clubs are loaded into your county, but that being said, it's got very, very bare bones information. So as it stands, your clubs literally are listing all of the projects. So if you do have clubs that offer only certain projects, then you're going to want to check those boxes that are the only projects that they're offering, perhaps, or maybe if they're a Cloverbud only club, identify that project. And this caret, once you have a project identified, this caret underneath the bigger arrow will show. Click that, and that will move over into the selected. If you're okay with everything being listed as a general default, it gives project offerings to be populating for your members. And that's how enrollments have been able to be facilitated. But you can see here, A lot of information. It's not required, but this certainly helps. The club location, club description, and number of meetings per month, as your households are enrolling, that content is very useful, particularly for your new families. This will help provide a lay of the land, where your clubs are located at within your county. The county I was working in, our club locations were based off of geographic location. So if you lived in a certain community or a certain area within the county, then you would be affiliated with this club, and it just helps save on travel time. Or you're going to want to identify if you have if you have clubs that are community or the clubs that meet in town, you're going to want to identify that. It's also helpful to give families kind of a baseline of how many meetings per month, if applicable, this club may engage in. And then just an overall description. If you have clubs that are oriented more towards clover bud, that's very helpful in helping families select if they have youth that age. Same as the clubs that are maybe more heavily geared towards your teens, if they're an ambassador type club or perhaps a specific livestock club. The more information, the better on that. You can also see here, you have the ability to set a max number. If there are larger clubs, max head count is okay. You can set the date it was chartered, the year that the club started. And some clubs, especially if they're a clover bud club, set the minimum age, maximum age. You're going to probably want to do just age. Once you get into age and grade, the system is very, you have some kids that are in flux. So it's something to consider. And then it's also helpful to put in a club leader name, phone number, and email. You may know who those individuals are, but sometimes if you have support staff that perhaps have a county login, there's a question they may not know the answer to, they at least have a contact information to share with as they're troubleshooting questions related for that club. Oh, I see some more questions coming in from chat.
That was mostly me. Where to
okay.
review recordings. Yeah,
Okay.
so this is a good time to jump in though, y'all. And I'm actually currently typing to give you all the link to the updated training schedule. All of this information, the link to ZSuite, the link to the YouTube playlist with the recordings, the schedule, all of it is behind the staff login on the 4-H events and enrollment page. That's all updated there. So that's kind of your number one place to go if you're looking for information. I also have the help sheets for ZSuite linked there. So if you need to just like plug into something really quick as a resource as you're going along, that's the best place to find it there as well. So I will go ahead and send the link though to the training schedule. I update that as we go, and I also link the recordings there as well. So there's a lot of different ways that you can find the information that you're looking for. Are there any more questions for Erica? General questions? Don't be scared. Don't be shy. This is all new and we're all learning. So anything you need to know?
I have a question.
Sure.
We had several parents, or leaders that couldn't get past the waiver stage of enrollment. And I was wanting to know, like, is that like a fluke, or is it like something that I can help them with? Like, I've not enrolled anybody, so I don't know how to do it, but they're not getting past the waiver page. And on my end, it shows that she's still in progress.
Oh, well, let me hop into the admin account real quick. Was the last name for the household?
It was one second, let me double check it. Baldwin.
Baldewin.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
It's the Heather.
Heather, okay. So I'm viewing as a household. So basically, I'm Heather. I've entered in her email and I've entered in password. And so now I'm going to go to the primary profile. Is Heather a volunteer?
Heather's the
The
mother.
parent. Oh, okay.
Yes. And it's Emma that she's trying to. Emma and right.
Oh, are they the same?
No, but that's one of the kids that she couldn't get past. She got the
Okay.
other kids in just fine.
All right. How is she completing the information? Is she using a
I'm not
phone?
sure what she's using.
There's all right. Typically, if they get stuck, okay, so it's not going forward. So any of these fields here are required. So
Okay.
I would venture to guess she was trying to do this on a mobile device.
Okay.
Given the amount of information that is in this enrollment packet, if you will, it's not nearly as bad to go through on a re-enrollment component on a phone, but first year, a lot of this will pack in and it is very easy to hide. And unless she changes the orientation of her phone to like landscape, some of these fields will miss. So, and that's exactly why I can click on the waiver section itself. Any of these fields that have an asterisk are required. So she's going to have to log back in and identify the parent guardian too is a yes, no question. Same with the household. And then she needs to identify emergency contacts. So there are several items here so
Okay.
this is a great example for demonstration purposes. This is what will happen if there's content missing in any form or phrase. It will not allow you to move through to the next section of that enrollment packet without doing that. So I would suspect that she was trying to do this on a mobile device. I could be completely wrong, but I would encourage her to, I'd encourage her to try to do this on a laptop desktop just for sanity's sake. If she wants to do it on a mobile device, definitely have her change the orientation, also revisit with her like what kind of browser she was using on her mobile device. And then she may have to pinch to scale just to make sure this content shows. If not, if she doesn't have a computer at home, several libraries are very gracious with their computers and will allow firewall clearance, or she can do it over the phone. If you get to a section where you're doing it on the phone on the waiver approval, you just make a notation in the parentheses that I was on the phone, parent provided the consent, because you're taking the place of the parent. So that's where you're going to want to make some of those enrollment comment notes that, yes, I did in fact talk to mom and dad and verified that they are providing consent for their child.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you.
You bet.
All right, Erica, I am Marley. I'm answering your first question. But Erica, how do we add a club? Is that something we can do on our end, or do we need to go through the state office to get it added?
Oh, adding clubs is easy peasy. So go manage account clubs. And then you have the option here to click plus club, add in the name, the biggie. It should default to active. You're going to want to make sure the club is active. You're going to want to set, by default, your ES-237 type is community. If it's an after school or in school club, you're going to want to designate that, or perhaps a military club. And then you're going to want to make sure that your club visibility is set to public. And then you're going to want to, of course, add in the name, all the other information. And then again, if the club offers specific projects, identify those and move those over into the selected column. And then once your information is entered, oh, minus here, my screen is a little limited on this computer. It just does not. Oh. You may have to control plus, control minus on your screen, but I apologize. My laptop is being killed. But once you have your information in there, you're at the very, very bottom. You'll want to click save. For whatever reason, my laptop doesn't want to scroll down, cooperate today. But control plus, control minus will allow you to navigate through some of that. Great question.
Great, thank you.
Anybody else? I know it is 11:03, so we don't want to hold y'all up. Thank you so much for coming. But Erica will hang out here a little bit longer. Anybody have any more questions? If not, you're free to go. Again, this recording will be posted.
Thank you, everybody.
In both the updated training schedule and on that YouTube playlist if you want to refer to it. So thank y'all so much for coming.
Is this where I wait to get help with my account, or will that be separate?
That's fine. Yeah, you can.
Okay. I know you said you were gonna email me. I didn't know if
Yes.
you.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
fine. No, you can hang out.